Hi guys, welcome to Learn Tech from Zero. Today's topic is virtualization. We have already covered the theoretical part of this topic where we have explained virtualization, hypervisors, and types of virtual machines. Make sure that you guys watch our other videos on TikTok, website, and also on YouTube and other social media platforms to find more about virtualization technique, the theoretical part of it. So today we will do a bit of practical work where we will create a type 2 hypervisor. So type 2 hypervisor is when you create a virtual machine on top of an existing operating system. So you can find all the information on the website, like how to create one, what are the requirements, and what sort of steps that you should be following. It's all on the website. So let's just start with creating one today. So how to install Hyper-V and create a virtual machine. So what is Hyper-V? So Hyper-V is a hypervisor from Microsoft. So using this hypervisor, the software. So hypervisor is a software that helps you run virtual machines. So today we will be creating virtual machines using Hyper-V, and the requirements are, for example, to create a virtual machine on top of an existing operating system. Like for example, let's say you have a Windows 10 and 11 and you want to create different operating system inside your computer, then we will use the technique virtualization, and the software that's required is called Hypervisor, and there are many software. So today we will be focusing on Hyper-V software, which is a Microsoft software. Sometimes I do repeat a few times just to clear it out for everyone. So so let's just start with the requirements. So to run Hyper-V on a Windows device, you need to have minimum Windows 10 and 11. You need to have the Pro, Enterprise, or Education version. I don't think you get the Hyper-V option, the software available on Windows 10 and 11 Home. And the minimum requirements are 64-bit CPU processor, and you can use I don't think you need to worry too much about this for now. Minimum requirements is 8 GB of RAM. So if you have 8 GB, if you have 16 GB, that's really good. But if you have 8 GB, you should be able to run a very basic virtual machine. If you have your hard drive as a SSD, it would run really well. I'm not sure about HDD because this might create a lot of issue. So this is a really good. So I think it's best to run best to run virtual machines on computers which has SSD hard drives. So here are the support. You can read all this information on the website. So we will just ignore this for the time being. How to install the Hyper-V? There is the first option is, the method one is, all you have to do is type Windows button and R, or you can just simply type run on the search and then run, and then we'll just click on it, and then you need to type optional features. So optional features.exe. Even if you just type optional features, they should just work. Let me just see. Yep, it's working. And these are the optional features. So it says you need to run optional features and you have to tick Hyper-V, and then you have to restart. So you can check that I have already ticked Hyper-V right there, and so I already have it installed. So if you don't have it installed, you tick it and then you install it, and then you restart your PC, and then you should be able to run Hyper-V. So now that we have Hyper-V installed, the next the next step is to create a virtual switch. So what's a virtual switch? A virtual switch is required for your virtual machine to access internet. So there are three types of virtual switch that we will be working on. So let's just get on with the configuration. So I'm just going to open my hypervisor. So this is how hypervisor looks like. This is the hypervisor manager. So when you install Hyper-V, this is the manager that you get, the application. It says Hyper-V manager, and this is where it will display the name of your computer. So whatever your name you have for your computer, it will display right here. And these are the virtual machines that will show up. So right now I already have a virtual machine installed. It's a Windows server, but today I will be creating a Windows 11 virtual machine from scratch. So keep an eye. So the first thing is to do is create a virtual switch. So open Hyper-V Manager. In the right panel, click Virtual Switch Manager, choose Virtual Switch Network, External, and stuff like that. So let me just show you how it works. So this is the right panel. I'm just going to go and create a virtual switch. So it says Virtual Switch Manager. I'm going to click on this one. All right, and then I'll be creating a new virtual switch. So we have three types of virtual switch. So external means your virtual, the virtual machines that you create. So right now, let's say you have let's just say you have Windows 11, and you want to install another Windows 11 inside your hypervisor. So that's the virtual computer that you will be creating. So if you create your virtual switch as external, that virtual machine, that the new Windows 11 that you will install, it can access internet same as your normal operating system. So it will run the same way as your normal operating system. It will be able to communicate with your computer and even to the external internet. So that's what external virtual switch is. This is the most common one. This is what we'll be creating today. Internal is your virtual machine will not be able to access internet. Basically, it will not be able to access internet, but your virtual machine can communicate with you, so your original operating system and all other virtual machines. So internal virtual machines can communicate with other virtual machines and with your host machine, the one that you are using, your existing physical computer. The private is the virtual machines cannot access internet, and the virtual machines will not be able to communicate with the host. So the virtual machines will not be able to communicate with your existing physical operating system, the existing computer that you have. But if you have, let's say, 3 or 4 virtual machines, like for example you have 3 or 4 virtual machines here, they will be able to communicate with each other. So that's the whole these are all the explanation for all 3 types of virtual switch. So I'm just going to choose external for the time being. This is the common one, and I'll just click on OK. Okay. So I'm just going to click external, and then I'll just click on create virtual machine switch, and then what I will do is, so I'm creating a new virtual switch. I'm just going to name it as external switch, and then this is the Wi-Fi adapter that I have. So it says I'll be using this one, yes, and external, yes. Everything is just there. I'm just going to click on apply. Yep, yes. So it's just applying the changes, and I should be able to use that switch for my new virtual machine. So right now the internet access for my virtual machine is ready. So I should be able, so when I create a new virtual machine, it should be able to access internet. All right, so what's the next step? So in Hyper-V Manager, right click on your computer, new virtual machine, and then so this is how you create a new one, and then you just name your virtual machine. You should be choosing generation 2. This is the modern, the most common virtual machine, the generation that we should be using. Generation 1 is basically if you have a really old device. Memory, basically the RAM. Networking is the switch that we will be using, the one that we just created. Memory is, we will allow some memory from your existing memory. Like let's say if you have 8 GB, I'm going to give it, if it's as I'm creating a new Windows, I will give it between 4 GBs. As I have 8 GB, so let's say if you have 8 GB, we will just give 4 GB. If you have 16 GB, we can give minimum 4, or maybe we can expand it to 8. It depends on how much you want to use it and how you want to use it. So don't worry about this or the technical bits for now. The more experience you have with hypervisors and virtualization, you will learn, and you will be able to do a lot with this. But for the time being, it's it's best to just stick with the basic configuration. So if you have 8 GB, you can allow, if you want to install a Linux, you can use 2 to 4. If you want to install a Windows, you can do 4 or 8 depending on how much RAM you have. You should use dynamic memory. So dynamic memory is like you can allocate a certain RAM, and then if the computer, if the virtual machine needs more RAM, it will borrow from your physical specifications, so whatever you have, and then if it doesn't need it anymore, it will just go back to the original configuration. And the networking, for internet access, we need the switch, so we have already created the external switch. We will allocate about 60 to 100 GB, so it depends on how much you want to allocate your hard drive. So for example, let's say you have 250 GB of hard drive available. You can allocate 50. I think 50 is the minimum that you should be allocating to a new computer, a new virtual machine. And you need an ISO file, so you can literally just type on Google Windows 11 ISO, Windows 10 ISO, Linux, let's say Ubuntu, and then you have Kali Linux and stuff like that. So whatever that you want to install, you need to look for an ISO file. So let's just start with Hyper-V. So the first step is so that's the Hyper-V manager. That's your computer name. So that's your host. That's the existing host. So I'm just going to right click on it, and I'm just going to choose new virtual machine. You can create a new virtual hard drive, hard disk. You can create floppy disk, but what we'll be doing is we'll be creating a new virtual computer. So virtual machine, and then I have this. This is how you start. So I'm just going to click on next. The name of the virtual machine is going to be Windows 11, and I'm just going to do next. The generation one is, hold on a second. Yeah, we will be using generation 2 because most of the devices are generation right now. All the people do use modern devices so that your devices are compliant and they get updates. So we should always be choosing generation 2 unless you deal with old devices. So generation 2, next. So I'm not going to change that. So originally they're just allocating 4096 MB of RAM. So 4 GB of RAM, they're assigning it to this new virtual machine. And I have 16 GB of RAM on my computer right now. So I'll be allocating 4 GB of RAM to this new virtual machine. And I will make sure that I click this one, use dynamic memory. So what happens is if your computer needs more RAM to run a lot of things, it can just borrow again, and when it doesn't need it, it will just return it back to your CPU. So in that case, we will be using the dynamic memory. It really helps. And so we are starting with 4 GB, and it can go up and down depending on the needs. I'll just click on next. Now configure is the connection that I'm just going to be choosing the external switch that I've just created. So I have already created like 3 switches before, so I'm just going to choose one of those external switch. External switch is for communicating with your existing computer. It can communicate with other virtual machines, and it can also access internet. Next, creating the name of this will save your files and stuff like that. I will give you the details of everything else later on. So in this video we will keep everything very simple. We will just create a simple virtual machine. So size, I'm just going to give it a sorry, I'm going to give it, let's say just I'm going to give it 50 GB, and then new hard drive, everything. All right, so let's just click on next. Install an operating system later, or install operating system from. So I already have the file. Sorry about it. I already have the file. I'm just going to browse it right here. So I already have the file. I will show you how you can download the file. So just bear with 1 second. Next, so I already have the Windows 11 ISO file. I'm just going to click on next. It's just showing all the description, and then I'll click on finish. Sorry about it. So you can see that it's already installed the Windows 11. So right now I have 2 virtual machines. So this is my existing physical computer, and then I have 2 virtual machines installed. So how you can download the ISO file is basically all you have to do is just Google Windows 11 ISO file, and then download Windows 11. You go to Microsoft, and then you don't want the assistant, you don't want the installation media. If you want to create a USB or a CD, you can use this one, or you can just download the ISO file. You just choose the operating system Windows 11, and then you continue, and then you should be able to download it. Okay, now that it's ready, I have Windows 11 showing up on my virtual machine. Sorry, as a virtual machine on my Hyper-V manager. All I have to do is right now is to right click on it and then press connect, and then your new computer, your new virtual machine should run. Let's just press start. So the reason this error message is coming up, everything is set up properly. The only reason it's coming up is because the operating system is not ready. So if you notice, as soon as so what we will have to do is we'll just right click on it and then turn off. Have a look. So as soon as they connect, it will ask you to press any key to install. You have to do it very quickly. As soon as you see the message on the screen, you have to just type something on your keyboard, and it will start installing the Windows 11. If you don't press anything on your keyboard, you will keep getting that error message. So I'm just going to press connect and then start, and you'll see there is a message right here. I'm going to quickly press the keyboard, and now you can see it's installing the operating system. And now you basically, so right now you can see that I'm already using a Windows 11 computer, and here it's a virtual machine where I can just install another operating system. So right now all I have to do is just follow the instruction on the screen, and then I will have a separate operating system, which is a virtual machine. So I will have another virtual computer on top of my existing physical computer. So I'm just going to close it for right now. So when you are done with it, when you are done using the virtual machine, you can just click on it and you can turn it off. So that's it for now. If you guys have any questions, make sure to comment. And this is not it. Like, there is so much to it. Like, you should be able to learn all these settings and how things work. For example, if you want to increase the RAM, if you want to increase the hard drive, you just don't do it while it's running, so it might create a lot of complications. So you need to learn a lot of those settings. This is something that I will be teaching you over time. And also if you just right click on those virtual machine, and if you create checkpoints, so if there is ever any issues, you can just go back to your checkpoints and you will have your previous checkpoint where everything was just working normally. So that's it for now. Thanks for your time, and I will see you soon with the next video.